This is how review scores almost killed my Airbnb business. So in January this year, we were realizing a 4.2 average rating for our Airbnb, VRBO, Bookings.com guests for, across all platforms, mostly Airbnb. And that's basically an existential threat. Listings were getting suspended, then they were getting shut down. Entire accounts full of listings were getting shut down, gone, right? Had to rebuild them from scratch, convince Airbnb that, hey, we're a new management company, we're not doing all that crap that was getting bad reviews before. But the reality is, we went from over a 4.9 star average the prior January, 2024, to a 4.2, and it was a gradual decline month after month after month where we just bottomed out at 4.2. Now we're back up almost at 4.8. We're at like 4.78 last month, 4.76. Like, we're back up, we're holding the line. And so I'll go ahead and walk you through what happened, why it happened, and how we fixed it. So as I mentioned, our prior year review scores in January were a little bit over 4.9. And, the big difference between January 2024 and January this year is that in January 24, we serviced 30 reservations. It was mostly my wife that was doing the guest communication, repair and maintenance coordination, right? Making sure the guests were having a good time and everything was taken care of at the properties. Fast forward a year and we're servicing 180 reservations. My wife has almost no communication with the guests at this point. She's actually stepped out of the business because somewhere along the way, she got real tired of doing it. It's like she just, it was a lot of work, all right? And so we replaced her with a VA army, if you will, right? We got a group of people their sole job is to communicate with the guests and then do intra-team communication with our repair and maintenance department, with our cleaning coordination department, with our payables department. And we kind of built all this up pretty quickly, obviously within a year. And really the failure was in our training, right? We didn't train them at all. We were hoping that they would just see what my wife was doing and replicate it. And that hope was not realized. And then that didn't work out. So now we're in this situation that we simply have to fix. All right. Which we did. We're still working on it to be sure. We think we can improve further and we want to continue to hold the line. And we're seeing that things kind of constantly change and evolve in this industry. So what we're doing now, we'll almost certainly not be doing 100% of, in a month, or definitely not in a year. But what we did does seem to have worked. And, we focused on two areas, our house and then other people's houses, right? So we had to fix our own house first. So we installed some mid-level managers. You see, what had happened when we replaced or tried to replace my wife with a VA army to kind of, figure things out and make our business run. Instead of guests going directly to my wife or handyman or cleaners going directly to my wife to talk to her about whatever it is they need to talk about, it just turned into, now we have all these people going to our VAs and then my VAs turning to my wife and being like, what do I do with this? What do I do here? Right? And so that was really where the overwhelm was happening before the VAs showed up. We brought the VAs to help with the overwhelm, and it just changed the way that the overwhelm was happening. Didn't get rid of it. All right. And so then we introduced mid-level management. Right. So we hired a couple managers to be there during the day to take care of things so that my wife and myself and other members of my partners, so that we could focus on higher level, big picture stuff and let our OMs get, all the questions and day-to-day nuances that are happening. They could deal with that. Right. Another thing we did at the same time, realizing that we can't just replace ourselves as the person being overwhelmed and just hire someone to be overwhelmed, right? We needed to fix that. And the biggest thing, focusing on reviews, was the way that our team was communicating with guests. So my wife's out of the business. My other business partner, who was heavily involved in the actual kind of day-to-day stuff of the guest, she goes on maternity leave, right? So I'm left with hundreds of reservations to service, this entire team of people who literally don't even know me because I just wasn't a big part of that part of the business. I was more focused on business development, not operational day-to-day stuff. So most of our staff I honestly didn't even know, and there's like 15 of them at this point, right? A couple managers that are green, they just started, And the people that have been involved, that are up at my leadership level, that have been involved in the day-to-day of the operations of the guest service, they're both gone. All right. And I'm like, I'm gonna fix this shit. So I just started every day meeting with my managers, my operational managers, right? Every single day, I was the first face they saw, 7 days a week. We did this for several months. All right. I at least did that much work every single day for several months. I would meet face to face with my managers or whatever manager was on that day. And we would just look at the business and look for problems, right? Try to figure out how to fix it. That was it. We were just it was like a partnership that I had with managers. Like, what's wrong here? How can we fix it? Great. You do that. We'll talk about it more tomorrow, right? And part of the habit or routine that we got into is we would just open up the inbox and see what's going on with communications with guests. There was never a time for a while that I could find a conversation that I was happy with, right? And so that was kind of the first step that we took, like big initiative, if you will, to affect our review score, is the way that we communicated with guests. And I call it think protocol. All right. What I would see is that the communications were often untimely, unhelpful, inaccurate, full of fluff, and there was no follow-up. Right. And so the most that a guest comm agent would do is just come in and be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened to you! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. This is all in text, right? That I'm reading this. I won't rest until it's resolved. You can count on me! Exclamation mark. And then they would literally do nothing. Crazy, right? But I come to find out that that's actually kind of a part of Filipino culture, which is a large part of our workforce comes from, to be sure. And it's I guess that's a thing that they do there. I don't know, American culture is unique, and we're like, if you say you're going to do a thing, you should actually do it. Right? Follow through, get it damn done, right? That is a uniquely American characteristic that these guys just didn't know. I had to teach it to them, right? And so that's where I developed Think Pro, because I constantly see the same problems: untimely, unhelpful, inaccurate, full of fluff, no follow-up. All right. So Think Protocol simply means you're timely. That means you respond to a guest within 5 minutes. All right. You're helpful. That means you solve the actual problem they bring to you, or you actually solve the problem that they bring to you. Guests don't just reach out to say, hi, how's your day? They never do that, right? Maybe once in a while, but I've never seen it. Anytime a guest initiates conversation with you, the host, there is some kind of issue, maybe a very small, minor one. Hey, I haven't got a door code yet. Or when will I get the door code, right? Like it could be any small or big thing, but it's always something. It is never nothing. And you need to solve what that thing is. You need to make that thing go away. That is being helpful. All right. Indisputable accuracy. That's what I means, right? So we got the T, we got the H, now I. Indisputable accuracy. Simply put, there should be no way that I can dispute the accuracy of what you tell them. All right. Whether it's what the check-in time is, right? Or what our our occupancy limitation is for the property. There could be any number of things. What our pool heating policy is. Usually it's some policy or procedure with how the property can be used or accessed, typically. But I've even seen them like just straight up bullshit guests to try to, convince them that it's okay to stay at our property. And I don't want to go into details on that. I hate lying and bullshit, and just be completely and utterly accurate and honest every time you say to them. I better not be able to dispute it. Indisputable accuracy. All right. So that was a big one for me. No fluffy bullshit. So much fluff. I am proud to say that we have gutted fluff out of our guest communications team. They are not fluffy. They are pointed. They are factual. Right? When a guest asks them a question, they give them a very direct answer. And I honestly love it, because most of our guests are Americans. And frankly, Americans love direct answers to the direct questions. So that is fixed. That's the most fixed out of all of every part of Think Protocol. And then there's keep up, follow up. Keep up and follow up. All right. Don't just say you're going to do something, go do it. You probably need someone else's help. Make sure that a task is created in our workforce management software, so this doesn't just fall through the cracks. There should never be a situation where you're waiting to hear back from someone. That means you're literally doing nothing. Keep up with the situation, follow up on your expectations of what's going to get solved, and also keep the guest informed along the way. This is what I'm doing. This is the next step I'm taking, right? I reached out to a handyman. He didn't answer. I'll call him back in 20 minutes. I talked to the handyman. He said he's going to be there in an hour. I will check in 45 minutes to make sure he's on the way, or I'll check in 90 minutes to make sure that he made it there, and then actually check in 90 minutes to make sure he made it there. Keep up, follow up. That one is actually the one we're still having the most trouble with. It has improved, but we got more work to do.